Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 14. It seems I managed to contain the issues on my new setup, and haven't encountered a single blue screen of death for a good 5 days at this point, and didn't have to re-verify file integrity on anything. So fingers crossed. As for this episode, I'm really hoping to have a much better quality video. If all goes well, it should be 1440p and 60 fps. Hopefully it will result in a better viewing experience. Now, on to the topic at hand. The main focus for today will be the reorganization of the main Kirkhamov distribution office, so we stop importing things that we don't need to, and we will also start building the coal industry. It will get rather close to finishing, but the full completion will have to wait until next time. As a small bonus, we will reach the housing capacity of Estergrad, so the town will also receive a couple small additions. The main road going through Kirkhamov is well on its way. Once it's completed, we can at long last stop importing foreign workers entirely. One of the things I really wanted to get done today was the reorganization of this distribution office. It is still able to import everything it needs, and while it should prioritize domestic sources, I would feel better if it only had access to those homemade materials when applicable, like gravel, and the refined oil products. At first I wanted to note down everything it did before this process, but then I decided to just go by ear, and start from scratch. I do forget to add a couple things back in now, but by the end of the episode, we should be more or less back to normal. Due to the road constructions, setting up the bitumen deliveries was a little bit of a hassle, but it will get done. I also decided to rename the two export tanks in Ramosov to their respective stored products. Makes it much easier to tell them apart in distribution interfaces. Also, I just noticed that I get Steam notifications now. I completely forgot to disable them on this new Windows install, so please bear with it for today. It was a bit hard getting everything back together, all thanks to my hasty decision to not note down the previous setup. But as I've said, it will all get sorted. I think the only really big omission will be the rail construction office, but that will be dealt with. Other than that, the only other problem I can remember is that I forgot to allow the importing of cement, but that should be it. I wasn't sure if the clothing warehouse got its deliveries from Kirkhamov, but as it turns out, it was done through the Estergrad DO, so it's all good. Also, there was a warning in the office on one of the vehicles. Is this new? Makes it super easy to see if a vehicle still has some leftover product in their back. I was a bit lost at this point. I stopped making videos for a week, and I'm already out of practice. Okay, that piece of road at the bitumen storage is done, time to add it back to the DO's list of assignments. And might as well name them correctly here too. And the last segment of the main road is finished. The bus stop should be in walking distance for the fire station now, which means we can reroute the microbuses from the customs houses to the town station. And with that, all we need to do now is catch all the remaining buses going to the firehouse directly, and reassign them to this new line. But first, let's name it, so we know what's what. So, as these little guys keep coming to the fire station, we just need to add them to the permanent route, and it's all done. Meaning we no longer use foreign labor. Only one left. And that's that. One step closer to a self-sustaining economy. Next on the agenda was the expansion of the town. The apartment blocks were completely full at this point, so if we are to keep being productive, we need more housing. I think the most logical place for them will be along the main street. I got a couple new models from the workshop, so let's give them a try. They are rather simple, but that's what Soviet-era utilitarian architecture is about after all. I think we should keep them apart this time. Two will be parallel with the road, and the middle one will be perpendicular. Since we are building on a completely random angle on this island, it's a bit hard to judge the correct distances, but I think I did a somewhat acceptable job at it. Connecting them to the rest of the network was a bit tricky though. I would love to keep foot traffic off the main street as much as possible, but there are situations where that's not really an option. We will build these apartment blocks one by one, and see how they handle the population intake. The track layer is also progressing nicely, although it does run into a bit of a snag in this episode, at least until I remember to reassign it to the distribution office. And this is where I decided to start building the coal industry. It won't become useful for quite a bit, I suspect, but at least we can export the refined coal until the steel mill is up and running. It would also be a good idea to include a secondary overflow storage along the line. Right here should be a good place for it. My first thought was to just use a train station, but I thought better of it. We should really add a storage into the mix. It would also be helpful if the road was a bit farther away from the conveyor tower. Right now it prevents any new belts from going across, and all the vehicles are preventing me from deleting it. How about we give these areas a proper name? I think the coal industry should be called Karbonov, and the iron processing will be named Ferrogorod. Will be much easier to refer to them by name, instead of writing coal industry or iron industry all the time. At this point, I decided to just add nodes to the road, so I can delete small segments. Once the path is disrupted, the construction vehicles will start using another way into the district. We only need to make it run a little bit further away from the conveyor tower, and we should be good. Yep, we have a connection. Good enough. I'm about to remember that this setup needs an extra aggregate storage to function properly. It doesn't have to be big, a small one will do. This will just act as a sort of pressure valve, so we can sell the excess production. I am not sure where I will connect this to the rail network. Most likely we will end up using the same junction that splits off towards the gravel station. Power will be a small problem though. But nothing we cannot handle. Adding a simple medium voltage switch should be more than enough. We can split it off from the substation powering the intermediate conveyor towers. With the coal industry under construction, I was confident that the current rate of income will not be enough, so I decided to take out another loan. It seems I misjudged the interface before. We are about halfway to our current maximum. And with the footpaths done for the first new apartment block, we can check the walkability, and it seems it will be more or less okay. We just need to do some tiny additions to the network, and it will be just fine. The bus station is out of reach, but that should be okay. It will just fill up the local services with workers, so the 3 original houses can have more available for external work. And I don't think we need too many workers walking in from the streets just yet. Maybe after everything has been delivered, but no point having too many in there right now. We can also start upgrading the footpaths in Karbonov. We will need it ready to go when the mine comes online, so people can walk there from the bus stop. At this point, I should have been clued into the fact that the Kirkomov DO is no longer delivering stuff to the rail CO. But I thought it was because the vehicles were just busy with refilling the other storages. but I will remember eventually. Now, since the bus station was out of reach for the first new apartment block, I decided it's time to start setting up the internal commuter network for Estergrad. A pair of bus stops on the main street should be a good start. I didn't notice how lopsided this arrangement is until it was already finished. A bit of a shame, but nothing I cannot live with. The uneven spacing around the concrete texture should have clued me in. With the materials for the foundation delivered, it was time to open the floodgates for the local workers. This microbus was quite a headache. It's really handy to have workers ready to go nearby at a moment's notice. Really speeds up the process. The fire station seemed to only get about half of the required workers. As long as it can maintain those numbers, it should be just fine. We might as well continue upgrading the main roads in Kirkomov. Since we had to do it for walkability reasons, might as well finish the job for the sake of aesthetics. The remaining roads would be just fine as gravel, but it will look better if they are a bit more uniform. And I finally realized that I didn't assign the rail CO to the distribution office. Hopefully we can continue building the track soon. And that new apartment is close to completion. Everything's been delivered. Time to finish the job. To nobody's surprise, ever since the first 3 apartments got filled up completely, the population stopped increasing. Hopefully these new additions will help with that problem. Alright, let's see how full this one gets. Well, that went better than expected. This means we need to build the next one. These bushes are just a start. I haven't decided how to decorate the area around these housing blocks yet. In terms of services, the new blocks seem to be doing all right. Now, let's check the walkability on the next block. As it turns out, the school is out of reach for it. Technically speaking, the cinema is also out of reach, but I didn't realize it, since the bodega I built earlier made it look like that it was in range. I wanted to build more cultural buildings anyway, so it will be a good excuse to do so in the next episode. The new school would be right at home next to the hospital. The footpath connections are a bit of a pain though. Apart from being all crooked, I really wanted to stop adding too many zebra crossings to the main street, so it was time for another footbridge. Placing the stairs in that small space would have been perfect, but it was too narrow in the end. But this will be quite alright, I think. Let's just hope the residents don't mind their neighbors walking past their windows on their way to work. With this, we might be able to get rid of some of the zebras later. Maybe we should lower the amount of fuel and bitumen deliveries to Kirkimov. I might have been a bit overzealous with it when I redid the distribution. And this is where I realized that I didn't tell it to import cement. It will take a while to get it back to the original levels, but only because we are using a lot of concrete right now. It will get filled up once things calm down. And look, the track layer is almost at the first bridge. It won't be long before we see how it manages to deal with that obstacle. Now that we have a relatively lengthy piece of railroad done, how about we take a short ride? I've been missing these moments. Jumping into a road vehicle is fun, but not as fun as riding a train. Almost there. One more trip will get us to the bridge at last. I have a feeling we would have been able to finish it if I didn't muck up the distribution assignments at the start. As for Karbonov, it is well on its way. The main infrastructure is finished, only the main buildings remain. Once we have access to the EDK track layers, maybe we should prioritize this branch of the network, so we can start exporting coal in bulk for some decent money. And we are at the end for today. Not too bad after a week of absence. The coal industry is close to completion, and our population is increasing rapidly, without encountering too many issues along the way. Really happy to see things going this well. As for next time, I think the most important thing to take care of is the construction of Carbonov. Once that's up and running, we can start exporting the refined coal, and we can move on to building Ferrogorod, our iron-producing industry. And once that's taken care of, it's time for the steel mill in Satsumograd, but that will have to wait for a couple episodes more. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then leaving a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. If you are more in the donating mood, you can find a link to my Ko-fi page in the description, where you can buy me a glass of water. I don't really drink coffee. Thank you for your support, and until next time, I will see you later.